Hello and welcome back to English for You. I'm Seb.
I'm Tiffany.
And we are still reading The Fantastic Mr. Fox, or Fantastic Mr. Fox, I should say. There's no the, and there's definitely no mox in the title. Okay, so we're talking about this story, and we met Mr. Fox, who was a very cunning, very clever animal who went down to the farms to steal food for his family and made some enemies in the process. So, as I just said, he was very cunning. Now, some people have this personality. Some people are very cunning. So, Tiffany, do you know anybody who's very cunning, always coming up with clever schemes or working out, sneaky ways of getting what they want?
Actually, I do know someone, but I don't think it's a very, very good thing. Like, okay, he's a nice person, but he did nothing wrong to me. He didn't try to scam me or trick me. But I know that he was using his, cleverness in the wrong way because I think he was doing something that's like borderline, maybe illegal, I would say. When I heard it, I was just like, ooh, that's probably not so good. So yes, he was a very smart person. The thing that he was doing is really smart, but I don't think it was the right thing to do. And that's where I think where morals come in. So unfortunately, I think I do. What about you?
Okay. I'm definitely not too cunning myself. I definitely am not very good at thinking of clever plans. My plans always don't work out because I'm a terrible liar and terrible at keeping secrets. So I don't know if I know anybody cunning, but I definitely know that I'm not cunning myself. I'm a bit dumb, but it's fine.
Well, that's good. It means that you have a good heart. You're not, you're not sneaky and you're not trying to manipulate or hurt other people. And that's actually a really, really great thing. So that's a good attribute to have, good characteristic to have.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, well, now that I'm in a good mood, let's carry on with our story.
Reading.
Fantastic Mr. Fox. Bean had a cunning plan. The farmers would wait by Mr. Fox's hole for him to come out. When he did, they would shoot him. That night, when Mr. Fox left his hole to find food, he wasn't expecting an ambush. The farmers caught him off guard. Mr. Fox escaped, but they shot off his tail. The farmers were furious that the animal had gotten away. They grabbed shovels and began digging up the hill. If they couldn't kill him above ground, they would kill him underground instead. Down in the den, Mrs. Fox and the children were frightened. But once again, Mr. Fox had a plan. He reminded them that foxes are faster than humans. What they had to do was dig deeper into the hill so the farmers couldn't reach them. They dug to safety, but they knew the farmers were still waiting on the surface. So long as they stayed deep underground, Mr. Fox couldn't leave to find food.
Okay, so let's take a look at our story. We still have, Mr. Fox, and we need to find out what is going on. I love this story so much, so we want to share it with you guys too. First, it says, Bean had a cunning plan. Because remember, Mr. Fox was stealing all these like fruits and vegetables from these farmers, and the farmers, of course, were very angry that people or somebody was stealing their food. So Bean thought about a really cunning plan. Bean thought of a really smart plan.
Exactly. He thought of a very clever plan, and he was going to try and find a way of catching Mr. Fox. So the story carries on. The farmers would wait by Mr. Fox's hole for him to come out. Okay, so there we use the conditional, the modal verb would. Okay, they would wait. So we're using a conditional here because this is his plan. This is what he thinks they should do. It's not what they're doing yet. It's what they're going to do.
Okay, and then the second part of the plan was, it says when he did, they would shoot him. Okay, so they think that, maybe when the fox comes out, we'll find this as an opportunity to shoot the fox and to kind of get rid of him for good. I don't know if that's going to work though. I feel like Mr. Fox is very clever.
It would be a very short literature article if it did work, right?
That's true.
Exactly. So the next we read, that night when Mr. Fox left his hole to find food, he wasn't expecting an ambush. Right, so ambush is an attack from a hidden position, an attack that you're not expecting. So Mr. Fox was thinking, oh, I can sneak out of my hole at night. They're going to be sleeping. I'll go down into the farm and I'll take what I need. He wasn't expecting them to be waiting at the hole for him, so they ambushed him.
Uh-oh. All right. So Mr. Fox did not see that coming because next in the article it says, the farmers caught him off guard. Okay. Yes, when you catch somebody off guard, it means that this thing comes off as a surprise to you. And sometimes it makes you really confused or you're not sure of what is going on. So I'm pretty sure Mr. Fox felt the same. He thought it was, just like a normal average day where he can go out and steal food, but he did not think, oh no, the farmers will be waiting here trying to attack me. So Mr. Fox was definitely caught off guard. Okay, we can use to catch somebody off guard in a sentence like this. The announcement in May of going into level 3 COVID alert caught a lot of people off guard, right? People were not prepared. People were like, oh no, what's going on? So a lot of people were definitely caught off guard. Were you caught off guard, Sam?
Oh, I think I definitely was caught off guard. To be honest,
Yeah.
I was going to the beach that day when I found out that they were going to do the level 3. So then I thought, oh no, I guess this
Gotta
is
get in
my
as much
last
sun as
day.
I can.
Yeah, I had lots of fun for one day, and since then I've been staying home. But
Oh, good.
so it definitely caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting that it was going to be my last day of fun.
Beach day,
Anyway.
yeah.
But I guess we all have to do that, right? Anyway, moving on with the story, Mr. Fox escaped, but they shot off his tail. Ow. Okay, so he escaped. That's a lot like the phrase we looked at yesterday that Tiffany taught you, get away. So escape and get away are very similar. If you escape, you get away from danger. So you run away. So basically, Mr. Fox is alive. He didn't die. And we have an example sentence of escape here. Luckily, Tammy and her kids managed to escape the terrible house fire. Okay, so they got away with their lives. Now, we said that his tail was shot off. So when you shoot something off, you shoot it with a gun and a bit of it comes off, breaks off. So when they shot off his tail, basically his tail came off his body, which sounds very, very painful.
It definitely does. All right. But luckily, he did not die, and it wasn't like a fatal shot where Mr. Fox could lose his life. But here, next in the article, it says, the farmers were furious that the animal had gotten away. Okay, now, furious just means to be very, very angry. And it's an emotion where you're just like fuming with flames, kind of angry. So they're very angry that they did not catch Mr. Fox and that he actually had the chance to escape or to get away. I know what you guys are thinking, okay? You hear the movie Fast and Furious, but here this furious is a different thing. In the movie The Fast and Furious, furious means like to be kind of violent or powerful. And I think what they're trying to describe is the cars being very powerful. So furious has two different meanings. Here it means to be very, very angry because they couldn't catch him.
Right. They really want to kill this fox. They want him to stop stealing from them. So what do? They decide they're going to try something else. The story says they grabbed shovels and began digging up the hill. Okay, so when we grab something, we take it quickly in our hands, okay? So you can almost picture them, running into their sheds and picking up the shovels with their hands very quickly and running back to the hill. Here's another sentence that shows us how we can use grab. A text message appeared on Emma's phone, but she grabbed it off the table before anyone could see it, okay? So she very quickly grabbed it off the table, like she's hiding something, like she doesn't want anybody to see what the message is. When we grab hold of something, that's a little bit different. When you grab hold of something, you normally hold it tightly for support. For example, Isaac felt dizzy and grabbed hold of my arm for support, okay? He felt like he was going to fall over, so he grabbed onto me so he would have balance. Okay, so they're grabbing the shovels. What are shovels?
Okay, well, let's take a look at the word shovel. Shovel is a tool you use to dig things up. And it basically looks like a pointy spoon, but bigger, of course, because you have to dig for something in the ground. So it's like a really big, pointy spoon. For example, we can use shovel in a sentence like this. The thieves took a shovel to bury their treasure in the sand. Okay, so they don't want people finding it, so they took something to kind of hide it in the sand. We also saw the word to dig something up, and it means the opposite. So it means you remove something from the ground. So like dogs might like to dig up bones from the yard or from the ground. There's actually a really fun saying as well. We have the saying to dig up some dirt on somebody. Okay, and this just means to find a secret about someone, or maybe a kind of news that someone doesn't want the public to know. So, for example, you know, the media likes to dig up dirt on celebrities and gossip about them. Okay, so that's another fun way. Yeah, very fun phrase to use.
Exactly. So they're not digging up dirt, though. They are digging up some real dirt because they're digging up the hill. That's what the story tells us next. If they couldn't kill him above ground, they would kill him underground instead. Okay, so they're going to dig up the hill. They're going to go underground. Underground is an adverb or an adjective. In this case, in the story, we're using it as an adverb, okay? So literally, basically what underground means is under the ground, going under the ground. So as mentioned before, Mr. Fox and his family live in a den. They live under a tree on a hill behind the farmers' farms. So basically what they're planning on doing is going into that hill under the ground to catch them. Here's a sentence that shows us how we can use underground. The man buried his treasure underground so no one would find it. Okay, so he's digging a hole, putting his treasure in it, and hiding it there. There are other meanings of underground as well, because underground sounds hidden, it sounds like it's in the dark, and that's why we often use it to talk about things which aren't mainstream. So underground can mean 非主流. So, or in the UK, it can also mean the MRT. In London, we call the MRT the London Underground because it's a train that moves underground.
Super cute. I love listening to like underground music or discovering like, you know, underground things. I think it's a lot of fun when you search for something that's outside of, you know, mainstream or trends. All right. So let's continue reading. Next in the article, it says, down in the den, Mrs. Fox and the children were frightened. But once again, Mr. Fox had a plan. Okay,
he
remember,
always has a plan.
well, foxes are cunning. Foxes are very smart. So he must have a plan. He must have something smart coming up. But before we look at what his plan is, let's first learn what the word frightened means. Because as you can imagine, the farmers are digging, you know, into the hill, into their house. So of course, Mrs. Fox is going to be scared. The children will be frightened as well. So frightened just means to be very, very scared of something. Like, for example, some people might be frightened or scared of cockroaches or spiders. Some people might be frightened of heights. Or some people have like have a fear of, or they're really scared of all these tiny little dots together. So there's a lot of things you can be scared of. However, when it gets to the point where this feeling of being scared is too much and it kind of affects you, this is called a phobia. So if you're afraid of heights to the point where you can't go anywhere near something that is very, very high, you have a phobia, and that's something different. But we can use frightened in a sentence like this. We can say the children were so frightened of the loud noise of thunder. Okay, so they were very, very scared of this really loud sound.
Okay, we could also say if the thunder made them jump, if it made them very scared, we could say that the thunder gave them a fright. Okay, so when something gives you a fright, it shocks you. Okay, so we also saw the phrase once again. Now, once again basically just means again after happening several times before. So we already talked about how Mr. Fox always has plans. He's very cunning. He knows how to get the food. He knows how to get away from the farmers. And now he knows how to stop them from catching them underground. So we can use once again here to say that he has a plan because he always has a plan. Okay, so it's no surprise that once again he's going to try and get away from Bunce, Boggis, and Bean. Okay, let's move on to the next sentence in the story.
Okay, so next it says, he reminded them that foxes are faster than humans. Okay, so of course, his family is scared. They don't know what's happening and they don't want these farmers to come and kill them. But Mr. Fox said, hey, remember, us foxes, we're faster than humans, okay? We saw a word here. We saw the word remind. Remind means to let someone know something again. And I'm pretty sure you guys hear from your parents all the time, do your homework, brush your teeth, go to bed, do this, do that. And this is not something that your parents say only once, or they say it many, many times. And not only are they saying it to be annoying, but they just want to remind or let you know again that these are the things that you need to do. But if you do it one time, they don't have to keep doing that. Anyway, so if you listen and you do it right, your parents don't have to keep reminding you things. Right. But it's okay. I think people are forgetful. People sometimes forget. So yeah, it's okay to be reminded if you really cannot remember every single thing. Like, for example, in this sentence, it says, Peter reminded his boss that he has a meeting at 4 o'clock today.
Okay, so we're not always getting angry when we're reminding someone. Sometimes we're just trying to help them remember. Okay, so the next in the story, here's what his plan is going to be. They're faster, so what they had to do was dig deeper into the hill so the farmers couldn't reach them. I see.
Okay, and then next, we can take a look at this grammar point here. It says, what they had to do was, let's learn a little bit about this type of sentence structure. We call this 强调句型, and this is used to make your sentences in your writing sound even stronger. So let's take a look at how it can be done. Actually, this sentence can be written in a very simple way. We can basically say they had to dig deep into the hill. But when we're writing, we want to make something stand out. So we can try this kind of, we can say grammar structure. We can add what in the front. We can even say the first thing or the only thing. And then we add our subject verb to do. And then it depends on, of course, the rest of your sentence. You can add is or was to do something. Okay. It's easier if we have an example. For example, we can say, so for example, this sentence is, we can use it in a very simple way. They had to dig deep into the hill. We can actually transform it into what we saw in the article. What they had to do was dig deep into the hill. And we can also use, for example, the first thing that, okay? So you can also say the first thing that I need to do today is go to the bank, okay? Because your sentence is basically, I need to go to the bank. You can add something in the front to make it stand out more. We can also try this. We can also try adding the only thing that in the beginning. So for example, we can say the only thing we should do or that we should do before the final exams is to study. Okay, so we pick something that we want to kind of 强调 first, and then we can add it to the beginning of the sentence with these kind of sentence starters.
So the only thing that the foxes can do right now is dig deeper and dig away from the farmers. So they dug to safety. That's what the story says. They dug to safety, but they knew the farmers were still waiting on the surface.
Okay, let's continue reading. Let's see what's going to happen. It says, so long as they stayed deep underground, Mr. Fox couldn't leave to find food, right? Because if they came out of their house, then they have a chance of, seeing the farmers and getting shot. So the only thing they could do was keep going down. So they keep digging underground. here we see so or as long as.
Exactly. So or as long as means if one condition is met, something will happen. Okay, so long as they stayed deep underground, if they stay deep underground, they will be safe. Here's another example of how we can use that. The teacher told the class that so long as they behaved well, they wouldn't have any homework. Okay, so long as if they are good, they won't have to do any homework. That seems like a pretty good deal to me.
I agree.
Yes. Okay, so let's stop here and check our For You Chat question. And on day 3, we will finish our story.
For You Chat.
Okay, so our For You Chat question for today is, do you think hunting should be illegal? Why or why not? It's a very good question.
It is. Like I'm definitely, on the side where I do like animals, and I don't think that in our modern day that they should be killed for fun. So I do think that definitely in order to, save the animals and stuff like that, I definitely think hunting should be illegal, especially in, Africa. I know how people are trying to, hunt for elephants and rhinoceroses and even whales in I think it's in Japan as well. Whales or dolphins, one of those. So I don't really believe hunting should be legal in our modern day. What about you?
I think that for the most part, I agree with you. I think that it's wrong to hunt animals that are endangered, so animals that there aren't many left of in the world. So we shouldn't hunt elephants, we shouldn't hunt whales, for example. I think sometimes there are some situations, like some cultures, for example, where they have like very long traditions and it's very important to them. But I think that's different to hunting for sport or hunting because you want like something nice on your wall, So I think it depends, but I'd say I agree with you. For the most part, I think hunting should be illegal.
That's right. If you need to hunt for food, that's different. But
yes, that is different. Okay, I think this is where we need to stop for today. We're going to join you tomorrow to finish the story. Can't wait. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Vocabulary Review. Escape. The door was left open, so the rat escaped from its cage. Grab. Sally tried to run, but the man grabbed her arm as she turned around. Shovel. Bill used his toy shovel to dig a hole in the beach sand. Underground. These animals can dig deep holes because they live underground. Frightened. Bats flew out of the forest and made the poor old woman feel frightened. Remind. I know you forget things, so let me remind you that today is Mother's Day.
智慧小补帖
Ambush. Furious.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作，活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net